4, 3, 2, 1.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
From beautiful Saline in southeastern Michigan.
Around the world at SunSkyMysteries.com.
This is the 2009 Top 10 Webcam in the World winner. This is SETV.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Surrounded by Idiots. You know, it occurs to me, let me get some microphone goodness adjusted right here. There we go. Once again, I'm using the big boy microphone for the show against my better judgment. For those of you that are watching on the video side, we are streaming live. We are attempting to actually try to get our CPU usage down on the video server so that the streaming quality is a little bit better. And those of you that are on the audio side, you can hear me perfectly well. And here I am, Bill Zam. And if you're anything like me, I feel really sorry for you. Now, you know, I really want to get down and dirty on this show when we don't have a guest on and tell you what I really think. But if I did something like that, if I actually told you guys what I thought and what's rattling around in my old chrome dome here, well, there would probably be a knock at the door, just like that, and there would be some guys in black suits coming to take me away. So I try to hold back as much as I can and not say anything entirely stupid. But I'll give you a little taste of what rattles around in my brain. And that is this. Right here, what I have in my hand, this right here is a cigarette. Let me get the other camera up. There you go. This right here is a cigarette. And this right here is a box of ammunition. This is actually a 30-06 round. Right here. Pretty big bullet. Good for hunting stuff. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is a bottle of Crown Royal. This bottle right here, unopened, you can still see the liquor seals right on it. This bottle is almost 50 years old. Never been opened. It's part of our stash. Now, do you know what all of those things have in common? Do you have any idea whatsoever? Wait a minute. Which camera are we on now? Okay, we're back over on this camera. See, this is the problem when you have cats directing the show. You don't know which camera you're on at any one time. At any rate, do you know what all of those things have in common? And this, right here, by the way, is a can of beer, which I will be enjoying throughout the show. Do you know what all of those things have in common? Every single one of those things, you must show a valid ID. A valid ID in order to be able to purchase it. The alcohol, you have to have a valid ID. The ammunition, you have to have a valid ID. You can't just walk into a gun store and buy some ammunition. This beer, you have to have a valid ID. These cigarettes, you have to have a valid ID. Here in Michigan, if you go into a CVS drugstore, it doesn't matter if you're 90 years old. They want to see your ID just to make sure you're not wearing some kind of super secret Mission Impossible disguise. Well, Texas and a few other states have decided that since you have to show your ID to buy alcohol, to buy ammunition to kill things, and to buy cigarettes, also known as coffin nails or lung scuds for those of you that were in the Gulf War, you have to have a valid ID. So here's what I want to know. What in the hell is the problem with showing a valid ID when you're going to vote? Is it because these people are so darned frightened of not being able to get enough votes to re-elect this clown in Washington? Which means that I can't say what I'm thinking in my head, otherwise the guys in the black suits will be here in about 2 seconds. At any rate, what did I want to talk about tonight? I don't have a lot of script work done for tonight. However, I do have a couple of points to make. The phone number, by the way, is 734-681-0272. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, I don't know. But you can call if you want to. At any rate, right here, oh, and by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're not going to be able to call the number because there's not going to be any answer, because this is a taped show, dummies. It's live right now, but when you watch it, it'll be taped. At any rate, I also host a show that is called This Old Shack. As a matter of fact, later on this spring, just a few weeks from now, I will be on the 45th parallel. I'll be directly on the 45th parallel. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. In fact, let me see if I can actually bring up a picture of... Hold on just a second. I don't have it loaded up on the... Let's see here if I can find a good photograph of where I will be at the beginning of April. Let's see if we can actually bring something up on this screen that I can show you. And no, I can't. However, I do see a photograph that I can use to... Excellent. I didn't think that I had a photograph to show you about the first topic that I'm going to talk about. You see, This Old Shack is about our place up in northern Michigan. It is exactly on the 45th parallel. If I walk to one side of the property, I'm closer to the North Pole. If I walk to the other side of the property, I'm on the other side of the 45th parallel. It's a great place. We have our own private lake. Big Bass Lake, by the way, for those of you that are playing at home. And we use alternative energy up there, which brings me to one of my real big rants that I can actually get away with without being arrested. You see, all of these alternative energy companies, all of these companies that you all know about that have been getting these millions and billions of dollars from the Obama administration. They get all these millions of dollars. And as it turns out, all of these companies are owned by Obama's buddies and the people in his administration's buddies. Who'd have thunk it? And then they all go belly up. Oh my gosh. And guess where the money goes after that? That's right. At any rate, super PACs aside, these alternative energy companies, these companies that are building solar panels, as a matter of fact, hold on one second here. I broke another one. This right here, let me bring up camera 2. Camera Cat, can you switch to the other camera, please? Can you switch to the other camera, please? Camera Cat. Camera Cat, can you... Okay, good. Okay, here we are. This right here is a solar cell. This particular cell right here, this is a high amperage cell. This cell puts out 2 amps of power when it is exposed to sunlight. It only puts out about a half a volt. But if you take a bunch of these and string them together, you can create enough voltage to either run an inverter or to charge a deep cycle battery, which is what you use for alternative energy. If you have a place that's off the grid, like our place up in northern Michigan, that is on the 45th parallel where I shoot This Old Shack at, We are powered completely by deep cycle batteries, solar panels, which are made up of a bunch of these things, and a generator. It's completely off-grid. We're not connected to the grid whatsoever. It's really cool. I love it up there. At any rate, the solar panel industry right now, we've been hearing, those of us that are pay attention to this, those of us that are in this industry that actually use the products, we have been hearing for quite a while that there is a big glut of solar panels on the market. And even though these companies are getting millions and millions of dollars from the administration, they all seem to be going belly up. We've all heard about Solyndra, the Solyndra company. That's a solar company. They got millions and millions of dollars, and they went belly up. As a matter of fact, let me take a little segue here about something that is going to require some adult beverages in order to be able to continue, because it gets me so upset to this day. There's a, or was, maybe they're still in business, there's a solar panel company. The name of the company was called SunX. What they were doing is they were making windows that were actually solar panels. You could see through these windows. They had a factory and everything. They had it all up to specifications, and they were actually producing windows that create solar energy, that create electricity. So you could look through the window while it's creating electricity. These were designed for skyscrapers and things like that. Well, I saw a stock show hosted by a guy that you're probably familiar with. He's got a lot of bells and whistles on his show, and he acts like he's completely spastic most of the time. He said, SunX, you want to invest in SunX because it's going to be the next big thing. So I put about $10,000 into SunX. Believe it or not, yes, I, Belzam, bought into that crap. Even though I use solar energy. Well, I bought into it. I bought a whole lot of that stock. It went from about $1 a share up to $10 a share. But I held on to it because this company was going places. This company was going places fast. Once the stock fell down to 25 cents, it was delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. And this is usually the part where I start throwing things around because I lost a whole lot of money. At any rate, I lost my butt on that particular investment. Tax time came, and I took the amount of money that I lost and I claimed it. I got a letter from the IRS. No. That's not how it works. See, here's how it works. And then we'll get back into this solar energy stuff, because I've got a point to make about that. Here's how this works. If you go and buy stocks, let's say you buy $10,000 worth of stock in a solar company, and the company goes belly up, and you lose that $10,000, similar to what happened to me. You still have to claim capital gains on that, even though it's a loss. Even if you sold the stock after it got down to like $1 a share, you still have to claim capital gains. You can't take a loss on it. I lost my butt that year. I was completely flummoxed by that. At the same time, I bought some stock in a Mexican cell phone company that did absolutely great, and I sold that stock and made a tidy profit. But I knew I was going to have to pay capital gains on that. But this other, you lose money on a stock, you still have to pay capital gains. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But anyways, getting back to this solar energy stuff. They're telling us that there is a glut of solar panels on the market right now. But nobody's buying them. Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because the price of solar panels has not dropped 1 penny per watt. That's how solar energy is measured, in pennies per watt, the cost per watt, how much it costs you. Typically it's I believe, if I recall correctly, it's around 32 cents a watt when you buy a solar panel. And a typical solar panel can cost you between $500 and $750. So you can imagine how much it's going to cost to outfit your house with enough solar panels in order to be able to produce enough electricity to make it worthwhile. There's a glut of solar panels because nobody's buying them. Nobody's buying them because they're so expensive. And no matter what these clowns in Washington tell you, we are still in a recession. So these solar panel companies are going belly up. There was never any intent of attempting in any way, shape, or form to get people to go onto solar power. If there was, after all this money was pumped into these solar companies that went belly up, they would have lowered the cost per watt for solar panels. Money goes in, the savings should come out. That was the whole idea behind this recovery crap that they foisted on us. At any rate, let me get back to my original point that I was starting on, and that is natural gas. Believe it or not. Now, listen to this. Here we go. Let me see if I can. I'm just going to go ahead. Here's a notification for the camera cat. I'm going to go ahead and switch it myself. There we go. Okay. This right here. Let me grab this camera so I can show you. I can't show you this screen on the stream, but there you can see right there. What you see right there is actually at the shack, at the 45th parallel, where we shoot this old shack. This is a natural gas well right there. Pumps gas out of there. You can see, let me see if I can point out some things here to you without adjusting the camera. Actually, let me see if I can adjust the camera here. This is, of course, your live television here. Let's see if we can take this and go like this and take the brightness and lower the brightness down. Maybe if we lower the contrast, that'll help. Nope, that won't help. So we're just going to go ahead and change that to the defaults and go over here to advanced and take that, turn that part off, and there we go. Now that's a lot better right there. Okay. This is a natural gas well right here at the 45th parallel. You can see this little gizmo right here shows you the amount of gas that's coming out of the ground. This over here is the high pressure gas line and everything. There's the well right there where the gas comes up out of the ground, and there's a concrete barrier box there and everything, and there's pressure valves and stuff all over here. Now, up there in northern Michigan, where the shack is, they pump natural gas out of the ground. They also pump oil out of the ground, and they refine it, and they sell it as diesel or gasoline or what have you. Believe it or not, Michigan sits on what's called the Antrim Shale deposit, and they have been using what's called fracking in northern Michigan for, I don't know, 40 years or so without any problems, because here in Michigan we might not have any jobs, and we might be in a one-state depression for the past 10 years with a pit called Detroit, but we know how to get oil and gas out of the ground. At any rate, that brings me to the topic at hand, which is this. Natural gas, as well as propane, are considered to be alternative fuels by the EPA. They are listed as part of the complex of alternative energies. You get credits if you use those to power a vehicle, power a generator, that sort of thing. They're alternative fuels. You would think that since the cost for propane or liquefied natural gas is only $1 a gallon as opposed to the $4 per gallon that gasoline is, you would think that the EPA would clear the way for people to be able to convert their vehicles or purchase vehicles that run on natural gas. They've got them in Europe. I believe they have them in South America. However, there's only a couple of vehicles here in the United States that are equipped to run on natural gas. There are conversions, to be sure. However, the EPA makes the red tape so onerous and so expensive to jump through that it's cheaper just to stick with gasoline. Unless your vehicle has over 100,000 miles on it and or is over 10 years old. And then the EPA guidelines do not apply anymore because it is what the EPA considers end-of-life cycle vehicle. So why would they not try to get as many people as possible to convert their vehicles over to natural gas, which burns cleaner, costs less, and is more efficient than gasoline? I'll let you ask that question and try to answer it yourselves. Now, on the internet, when you're on the internet and you're seeing all kinds of articles and interesting factoids and things like that, you read those and you pass them along to your friends and everything. But let me ask you a question. Do you have any idea whether or not what you see is true? And what I mean by that is this. Look, we see all this stuff on the internet, and we know there is disinformation aplenty being streamed all over the place. You see it in discussion groups. You see it in articles. There's all sorts of misinformation, disinformation, out and out lies, and everything else. Speaking of out and out lies, our Vice President Joe Biden last night was eating a dinner of sirloin steak and truffles along with an expensive bottle of wine. And he got up during this dinner and he said, you know what? The Republicans don't know how to connect with the common citizen. That, of course, was a $10,000 a plate dinner that he was at, where he said that. Just thought I'd pass that along. Speaking of disinformation, at any rate, how do you know what you see, what you read, what you experience on the internet is actually real? How do you know it's not all lies? I was thinking of that point because that's what makes doing a show like this so difficult. You have to, first of all, you have to believe in something. So if you are, for the sake of conversation, let's just say that you are a religious person, in this particular case, a Christian, and you read something on the internet about being a Christian or the Bible or something like that. That's something that you have experience with. You can actually verify that. You can get your hands right on the Bible and you can read what they're talking about and read about what their interpretation is. The same thing about weather. You go on to the weather website, the Weather Service website for your local area, and you look at the weather forecast. You can go outside and look up, and you can see when it says sunny and 72 degrees, you can see it's 72 degrees and sunny. So you know that's not a lie. You know that's not disinformation. You can see, for instance, something, a map, photographs, like on Google Earth, and you know that it's real. But if you're reading an article or looking at something, and that would be this right here. Let me go over here to this. There is an article right here. Newly discovered artifacts prove Mayans had alien contact! Exclamation point. Now you see this and read this article. It's a bunch of yada yada yada, and half of it's probably BS. I haven't even bothered to read it because I was there to look at the pretty pictures. Now they have these pictures of this pottery or stones or whatever the heck they are, and you can see that this one here, let me get that up on the screen, you can see this one here looks like it has a little alien guy in there, and a little rocket exhaust right there, and some stars and planets, and who knows what that is. It's probably a traffic camera so that the ancient Mayans can get themselves a little bit of revenue by getting the speeding alien and the speeding spaceship on camera so that they can send them a traffic fine. But you see that piece of pottery right there, and then you see this little piece of pottery that's right here that looks like a flying saucer, and you see on here it looks like a little alien face, and you see the usual portholes on the side of the thing like that, the little bits of alien writing. And you go up to the next one right here, and well, by golly, that looks like a gray there, don't you think? There's this little gray eyes right there, and that looks like a little alien guy, and a little planet up there, and some stars and planets and things like that right there. So you read this article and you think to yourself, and I get emails all the time, so do you probably, if you're even halfway interested in this Mayan apocalypse sort of stuff. You go here and you read this stuff, and things have discovered, and star seeds, and human origins, and Pope Gregory, and there's Cliff High is listed in here, and things like that. So you're thinking to yourself, boy, this is really cool. Look at that. There's a piece of Mayan pottery right there. In fact, if you look at this right here, right there, and right there is where the string goes through to hang this around their neck. So like some priest had this hanging around their neck. And you can see this pottery right there. There's only one problem with all of this stuff, and that is this. How do you know they're real? You're just going to buy it at face value because somebody wrote a nice article about it? You're going to do some research, see if you can find any follow-ups on that? Or is everybody just showing the same pictures? Do you actually see somebody in a museum looking at these pieces? No. All you see them is on a black background. Hell, I can go out and get fire up my oven to a broiler and get myself some clay and make that myself. There's absolutely no proof whatsoever that any of this is valid. How do you know it's valid? That's what you have to do when you're online. You have to check, you have to double check, you have to check the background of the source, you have to see if you can find other sources, and most of the time, and I'll give you a little tip here that I give everybody when I am doing research for the show or anything else. If you ever, you listen carefully, look at the camera, and if you're listening online, look at your speakers. Now look at me. When you're online, if you see anything that says a report is being passed around the Kremlin or passed around the Russian Defense Ministry, take it and throw it away because it's fake. Every single one, 120% of those are fake. Guaranteed. I can't tell you the number of times when somebody has sent me an email. Look, right here. Look at this right here. There's a giant base underneath Ohio that the military is using. And you go there, and there's like this report that's being passed around breathlessly all over the Kremlin because they're looking at this and they're going, comrades, have you seen this? Have you seen this? There's a giant underground military base in Ohio. OMG and WTF. They're all fake. Every single one of those. They're all disinformation. All you have to do is do a little bit of critical fact checking. It's not that hard. Speaking of critical fact checking, I've already covered this. There is a young man. You might remember this kid. His name is Kirk Cameron. Remember that name? A childhood actor, Kirk Cameron. He's one of the very few of the childhood actors that actually turned out decent. He has a new movie out that's called, I believe it's called Fireproof, and it is going to be in some select theaters. Now here's what I want you to do. This is a good movie. I have heard about this movie. You want to go to, hang on a minute while I fire up the browser again. let's go over here onto the internet, pardon me, while I move the big boy microphone. And I'm just going to go ahead and type this in here. Right there, and let's see if this actually comes up here. You want to go to a website that's called monumentalmovie.com. No, we don't want to see the preview. Thank you very much. It's going to be live in 550 theaters. Kirk Cameron, right there, 550 theaters. It is called Monumental, in Search of America's National Treasure. What you want to do, get rid of that too. Now, even if you can't make it to one of these theaters, and it's going to be March 27th, it's going to be a live one-night event. And they're doing this the same way that some other people have done this sort of stuff that I wish that I actually had the resources to do. They lease theaters. They sell tickets to the theater, so you go in just like a regular movie ticket. And they have a live web broadcast, kind of like what you're watching right now. And it's up on the screen, and it's in a theater setting. It's like this show in a theater. Well, anyways, Kirk Cameron is doing this on March 27th. Now, this is a very, very good movie, and it is a very good cause. So, what I'm going to suggest that you do, and you don't have to do this, this is just a suggestion, check out and see if there's a movie theater in your area where you can go and see this. Go to monumentalmovie.com, buy yourself a ticket, buy tickets for you and your family, and go to see the movie. Even if you can't go, even if there's no theater in your area, buy a ticket anyways to help fund this movie. Because Kirk Cameron is a nice guy, he's a nice kid, this is a Christian-based movie. In order to keep him in business and to keep movies like this coming out, he needs your help. So, go and see the movie. monumentalmovie.com. That was a free ad for the movie. In fact, as soon as we get off the show tonight, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can actually get some tickets for this and if it's showing in the area where I live. Because I want to go and see it myself. This should be a pretty good thing here. So let's go back over here to the screen. And the article that I want to talk about, and this is one of those things where I kind of have to be careful so that I don't get into trouble. Because I don't want to be like Judge Sins and have a black SUV roll up outside the house with a bunch of guys with guns in there shooting the place up. This is an article. It's a column, actually, by a gentleman by the name of Thomas Sowell. If you don't know who Thomas Sowell is, you need to find out who he is. You need to read his writings, listen to his interviews. I believe a few times he has guest hosted on the likes of Rush Limbaugh and possibly G. Gordon Liddy's show, although I'm not sure. He has written a column. It is at onenewsnow.com. It's in the perspective area. Perspectives. onenewsnow.com. You can go ahead and place the www in front of there if you want. onenewsnow.com. That's the name of the website. He has written a piece here. He's a syndicated columnist, so you can read him in various different places. This is from the 13th. And this is a very, very interesting article, because I can read it to you and actually not get into any trouble with any guys in black SUVs because I've said too much. At any rate, there are many frauds of historic proportions. For example, the financial pyramid scheme for which Charles Ponzi was sent to prison in the 1920s, and for which Franklin D. Roosevelt was praised for in the 1930s when he called it Social Security. Now you can see right away where this guy comes from. In our own times, Bernie Madoff's hoax has made headlines. But the biggest hoax of all of the past 2 generations is still going strong. Namely, the hoax that statistical differences in outcomes for different groups are due to the way other people treat those groups. The latest example of this hoax is the joint crusade of the Department of Education and the Department of Justice against schools that discipline black males. And look right up here, Charles Soule is in fact a gentleman of color. Justice against schools that discipline black males more often than other students. According to Secretary of Education Arne Duncan, this disparity in punishment violates the promise of equity. Here is the crux of this opinion piece by Charles Soule. Just who made this promise remains unclear, and why inequity should mean equal outcomes despite differences in behavior is even more unclear. This crusade by Attorney General Eric Holder and Secretary of Education Arne Duncan is only the latest in a long line of fraudulent arguments based on statistics. If black males get punished more often than Asian American females, does that mean it is somebody else's fault? That it is impossible that black males are behaving differently than Asian American females? Nobody in his right mind believes that. But that is the unspoken premise without which the punishment statistics proves nothing about equity. So, what I want you to do is I want you to go over to onenewsnow.com in the perspective section. You can read Charles Soule's article, his opinion piece about that. It goes on and on and on. And let me check a couple of things here. All right. I haven't had dinner as yet, so I am preparing to wrap up the show. I think a half-hour show with me nattering inanely. Oh, incidentally, 2 things. Over there on the YouTube channel, Sun Sky Mysteries, some guy put a comment up about last night's show. He said, and here's a quote for you. He said, and I quote, "I founded dumb." Well, that's nice. I'm glad you founded dumb. Is that your new company, Dumb? I'm glad you founded it. Let me know when you go public with that. I want to get in on the IPO for that. See, these are the idiots that we're surrounded with by here. I'm surrounded by idiots. We're surrounded by people that don't even know how to make fun of this show. Surrounded by idiots. I founded Dumb. And then there was another guy this morning, and if you're watching, I apologize, and if you see this, I apologize, but he put a comment up on the channel that said, "I prefer getting my news from you because you're much more reliable than everybody else." And that was this morning, so I'm thinking to myself, man, you're hitting the sauce early. I've been waiting all day to pull that one. That one's great. Sorry, man. I didn't. Don't take it personal. But I saw that comment. I said, "Oh, that's great." There's at least one drunk person watching the show. They come to me to get their news. Well, that's about it for tonight. Yeah, that's pretty good. Come to me for the news. Oh, boy. You guys think that I should hit? Say, I'm a professional. That's why I can stop laughing at the drop of a hat. Do you guys think that I should tell you about the empire, the hydraulic empire that we live in? Oh, wait. I'll go ahead and wait for anybody to say whether or not they want me to tell you about the hydraulic empire that we live in right now. I covered this on This Old Shack, as a matter of fact. You're going to have to hunt around to find that episode. Maybe I will run it on the video stream in the near future. But this old shack cannot appear on YouTube because YouTube, no matter what we do or how we do it, even though we have the music for it licensed, and I, your gracious and kind host, appear on camera most of the time, and even though this particular episode, we actually have properly licensed material from the American Petroleum Institute that they allowed us to use for the episode, YouTube keeps claiming copyright violations on it, so we can't put it up on YouTube, so you can't see it on this channel. Thank you, YouTube. We appreciate it. Bunch of communist bastards. At any rate, the hydraulic empire. Do you know what a hydraulic empire is in the first place? Hydraulic empire is, this dates back essentially to the Middle Ages. A hydraulic empire is an empire based on water. Well, I don't know who's calling, but they're not calling to be on the show, so I'm not going to answer it. At any rate, hang on, let's see who's calling. Oh, it's some stupid sales call. Even us media professionals, we get tagged by idiots that call us during the show. See, now, if they knew anything about us, if they knew anything at all about us and wanted to get a sale from us here at Saline Entertainment Television, SETV, television like you've never seen before, they would be watching Surrounded by Idiots right now, and they would know not to call while I'm on the air. Maybe the next time I'll answer it and put them on speakerphone. That'd be great. At any rate, hydraulic empire. A hydraulic empire is an empire that's based on water. It dates back to the Middle Ages. He who controls the water controls the population. It is a, in my opinion, from what I've learned lately, it is a sort of totalitarianism. Remember, there's only two things that totalitarianism needs to succeed: a willing media and the ability to extend benefits to one part of the population while withholding it from the other part of the population. And essentially, that is what we have here in the United States right now: a willing media and the ability of the government to withhold benefits from certain segments of the population. Well, we live, believe it or not, right now in a hydraulic empire. That is the empire of oil. He who controls the oil controls the population. Look at the price of gasoline, a product based on oil. He who controls the oil controls the population. Now you think about that. And I don't want to hear any yammering or pissing and moaning about Halliburton and everything else. You think to yourself, who is controlling the oil? It's not Middle Eastern countries, because we have plenty of oil under the ground here in this country, in the Gulf of Mexico, that we're letting the Brazilians tap right now without letting companies here in the United States drill for. Who controls the oil? Who controls this hydraulic empire? Think about that. At any rate, my name is Bill Zam. Thank you for showing up tonight. See, there's actually a viewer, although I suspect we'll have substantially more over on the YouTube channel. And since I apparently have not violated any of the onerous and completely false copyright rules that are floating around on the internet, we will have this up on YouTube in the near future. And as soon as I locate the Hydraulic Empire episode of This Old Shack, I will have it up on the video stream. But before I got sidetracked back there about an hour ago, I was telling you about going up to the 45th parallel. What we are going to do this year is we are going to take this camera right here, the one that you're looking at right now, this camera right here, and we are going to take our usual supply of adult beverages. Speaking of which, I hadn't planned on being on the air this long, so I need to replenish my supply of adult beverages before I completely go off the deep end. We are going to take our supply of our adult beverages and our webcam, and also, hold on one second here. I'll be right back. Don't go away. And we are going to take our usual supply of, let's see here, let me get this camera down here. You can see our studio right there, and all the empty beer cans sitting there, and there you go. Here's the computer bag that we take up there. We also take this little gizmo. Hold on a second here. This little gizmo right here. That's in the camera bag right there. This right here is a cellular modem. This little black thing right here. Not the big black thing. This is a cellular modem. You hook this up to your computer, USB port, and you get on the internet with it. You get a broadband connection through a cell phone connection. This big black thing around here is an antenna. It's designed to put your cell phone into. Truckers use these things. People that live out in the rural areas use these things. But this is a little antenna. It's a phone cradle. Well, it works just as well with this cellular modem that you see right here. We also take this particular device that you see right here. This right here is a 5-watt, and your cell phone operates at about 100 milliwatts. This is a 5-watt dual band cellular amplifier, because up there on the 45th parallel we are about 10 or 15 miles away from the nearest cell tower. So in order to be able to get a decent cell signal, we need to use a 5-watt cellular amplifier. So while we are up there and we have our broadband connection through the cell system, we will have our camera that you're watching right now with our laptops, and you will be able to watch the show live and direct from the middle of the pine forests of northern Michigan, surrounded by millions of acres of pine forest out in the middle of nowhere. We will be doing live broadcasts this summer of this old shack, and surrounded by idiots. First time we have ever attempted to do this. Should be pretty spectacular. And I might even take some of my 50-year-old Crown Royal with me. These stamps on here, let me see what year this stamp is from. This stamp is from this stamp is from 1962. That's when this particular bottle of Crown Royal was produced. 1962. At any rate, my name is Bill Zam. Thank you for showing up. We certainly appreciate it. This will be uploaded to YouTube shortly, and I hope you got some halfway decent information. Remember, when you're going to work in the morning, daylight savings time, it's dark out, be careful of the little kids crossing the street on their way to school, because when a car hits a car, that's an accident. When a car hits a child, that, my friends, is a tragedy. So, till the next time, probably tomorrow night, when I can, as soon as I get enough adult beverages in me to get on the air, we will go ahead and have another show. And in the meantime, Check out Kirk Cameron's movie, monumentalmovie.com, and also check out Charles Soule's piece at, what's the name of this place? One News Now. That's One News Now. Or just put his name into the search engine. Make sure you use Google so that the federal government can track your activities without really having to work at it. Because you don't want these guys to work at it, because we're already running a $14 trillion deficit. I mean, why would you want to run it up anymore by having to waste even more valuable federal employee time? So make sure you use Google. His last name is spelled Sowell, Charles Soule. You want to read that piece. It's very, very interesting. At any rate, now that the show is over, I see that we are actually getting an audience, which is, somehow that's just simply appropriate here on Surrounded by Idiots, because, well, never mind. Oh, brother. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for stopping by. We certainly appreciate it. And, well, I certainly hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you missed the show, well, you can come back tomorrow night and see tomorrow night's show. Or you can check out the YouTube channel and watch it there. Have a nice evening. And those of you that are on the audio side, let me shut down the video side so that we can